All right, time for this week's Good Stuff episode. Now we're on Night's Watch, and our agenda for this time is trading with Qohor, the attachment agenda. I think this is one of the better decks that Night's Watch can use. Night's Watch actually has quite a few options at the moment that all seem reasonable, if not just plain good. You can do builders. Builders is always a thing. You could just do like a regular core set wall deck that's not builders. It's just like, Night's Watch good cards, like a fealty deck basically. You can do Banner of the Dragon with Queensguard bullshit. And you could even do Reigns of Castamere with the box version of Jon Snow who has stealth. I think that's not unreasonable at the moment. That's always kind of been a deck that's lurking around that could do some work that was basically dead when Breaking Ties was a thing, but since Breaking Ties is not a thing, it can now come back into play. One problem with that deck is it feels kind of weak if you don't draw the Jon Snow fairly quickly, but I don't know. Maybe we'll play that deck at some point. For now, we're playing Qohor, and I quite enjoy this deck. It's pretty fun, I have to say, while also being quite powerful. The first nice thing about Qohor and Night's Watch is you have 3 Cravens and 3 Milks, and it's very difficult, if not impossible, for the opponent to prevent you from putting these onto their important characters. So you can shut down a lot of stuff that way. Slap Milk on their Tywin Lannister or Euron Crowseye or whatever. But that part of the deck is actually a little bit lame and not the part that makes it fun. The part that makes it fun is everything else, which is also pretty interesting and nice to talk about. So I've sort of gone for a Stewards deck here. I have a really strong Stewards theme. I have like all the good stewards, and they basically all have pretty useful abilities. Even Donal Noy, I've been able to do some tricky stuff with him. He can drop in Miner's Pick, which is a weapon, or Longclaw for a surprise strength buff. That can be funny. And you can do a surprise catapult on the wall. And the dropping in catapult for 1 gold can be relevant even if you never actually use the ability on the catapult, because then you can use your agenda to turn it into Lord Commander, Seal of the Hand, or even, like a Long Claw or just whatever attachment you might want. So that's pretty nice. We've got Small Paul. He has good stats, good ability. People like to Valar if you get like a big board, which is fairly likely because you have a ton of draw and a ton of cheap dudes. So he sort of helps you if they do that. You've got Seasoned Woodsman, stack Miner's Picks on him or whatever. You can even put Craven on your Seasoned Woodsman and draw a card, and then just use the agenda to take the Craven off and put it on, another copy of Craven onto the opponent's character after they marshal something that's worth putting a Craven on. I've done that before. All kinds of nice stuff like that. So basically we've got some Stewards, Bowen Marsh because he's a Lord, and this is sort of why I was drawn to the Stewards theme. I also knew I wanted to do Lords in this deck because of Jon Snow, who can be a pretty solid win condition if he comes out and you start stacking stuff onto him. He's really strong. And I was like, well, Bowen Marsh is a Lord, so that way we can support the Seal of the Hand and the Bodyguards and have uses for them besides only Jon Snow. So I said, well, that means we'll do Stewards, and then the other Lord is this Old Bear from the box. He's decent. He's like a sort of a backup plan. He's pretty good if his ability ever has anything to target. Sometimes it doesn't, and he's just like a body that you put stuff on, but he's reasonable. You can definitely do a version of this deck with like the core set wall and the core set Old Bear Mormont, or you could even just have the core set Old Bear Mormont in here without the wall. Both of those are possible, I think, and not totally unreasonable. Let's see what else we have for characters. I think I basically covered it. Recruiter, just a super good character in general, always very efficient, and I don't want to say he demands an answer from the opponent, but a lot of times he just totally, like, the opponent won't even want to declare a military if this guy has taken one of their characters a lot of times. Very useful. And Venomous Blade seems to not be very popular. Like, even when you run into Martell, they don't ever seem to use Venomous Blade anymore, so that makes him even better. Yeah, I think that about covers it. Spare Boot, and Halder's always good with so many attachments. Spare Boot helps protect you from negative attachments, which is important because you don't want Milk or Craven put onto your Lords. And he also has the ability to, this is not implemented on the Iron Throne, so people usually, like, the one time I tried to do this, the person wouldn't let me do it and said, oh, it's illegal, you can't do it. This actually is legal. I've been told repeatedly on the Discord that you can do this, so and it makes sense according to the wording. If you target Seal of the Hand with Spare Boot, it stands up and it doesn't move because it can't move onto him. Obviously, he's not a Lord, and his word it's not a then wording. It's not a move the attachment to Spare Boot then stand it, which is the wording that would be required to block you from using it on Seal of the Hand. Since it's an and wording, it says stand and move. You complete whatever amount of the ability you're able to do, which means it stands up and it does not move off of like Jon Snow or whoever you have it on. That's very useful. The attachments, just sort of threw in all the attachments that I thought were reasonable. We've got Lord Commander and Longclaw to speed up power gain if we establish a dominant board state. Bodyguards because we have Valar Morghulis, and to stop the opponent from using Valar. Miner's Pick is quite useful. I really like this card. And yeah, Seized is very nice. I'm tempted to even have 2 of these, and I'm just not sure what I would cut for another one. Because what you can do, if you can get this out with Isle of Ravens, is you can just put it into play with like a gold on it, and then cycle it back with Isle of Ravens and keep putting it into play again. You can also like sack it to put into play another attachment when it's run out of gold. Very handy. So we've got some economy stuff. The new gift, 1 copy, because we do have a bunch of stewards. It's still not great, but the ability to like kneel 3-finger hob to draw another card or something can be nice. And the Isle of Ravens, because shuffling attachments back into your deck actually is a thing. You might even want 2 of these. The problem is you can only have 60 cards in the deck, but this is definitely very useful with the Qohor agenda. Because you can actually burn through all your attachments of a certain type fairly quickly and be like, damn, I wish I could shuffle one back in. Plots, we've got Peace and Prosperity to open with. Trade routes is obvious. Valar Morghulis, because we have Aemon and we can search out bodyguards. Here to Serve finds Aemon and can counterplay the opponent's Valar Morghulis. Forced March is the most questionable plot. And I think I'm tempted to change this over to Close Call. If I was going to keep playing with this deck, I think I would do it because like I've had times where an important character dies somehow and I really wish that I could get them back, and the Forced March has just not been that great. Although, it should be good sometimes. I don't know. Maybe I've just had bad luck with it. Confiscation because we don't have great attachment control and we really don't want... I mean, one game someone literally put a Strangler on my Jon Snow and I was like, okay, good thing I have Confiscation. And Counting Coppers, so yeah. Let's see what happens. I like this deck because you have a bunch of like triggers and tricky stuff you can do, and you draw a billion cards. There's a ton of draw in the deck, and I really like drawing cards. So I consider it fun. Let's hope we don't run into Targaryen. I think I've actually won every game I've played with this deck except Targaryen. Okay, it's not Targ, so that's good. So let's see. This is actually kind of a juicy setup, but I still want locations. This is better. I hate going against Targaryen because like one game they started with Drogon, so that's just immediate game over, and another game they had friggin' double let me take a second here to do my setup. This seems correct. They had friggin' double Dracarys for my Jon Snow, which there's like literally no counterplay to double Dracarys, so I lost that one. I think this is true for many, if not most decks. If you run into Targ, either they have it or they don't. They usually have it, and by it, I mean, why would you do that? That seems weird. Whatever combination of kill effects will delete your board out of the game. And you just kind of have to shrug and sit there and say, oh, well, I guess I lose. Outplayed. Just, accept it and move on. I guess I'm going to put Longclaw on. I mean, it's the only thing I can really do. Maybe I should have played Bowen Marsh. I'm not sure. I kind of just clicked without thinking. I think I should have played Bowen Marsh there. But it's fine. The draw from his insight, it's not that relevant yet. It's only the first turn. And, like, what is he going to do? He flipped first snow on himself. So, like, how is he going to marshal any characters? I guess he has Ambush. He's going to, like, ambush a Dornish Spy or something. I don't quite understand. Because I'm lucky enough to have the dupe on Aemon, so he'll stay in play. He's definitely playing a very lame deck, We can see from his setup and his faction and agenda combo, he's going to be trying to basically lame us out. Wow, okay. Two questions here are, first of all, what was I going to say? Does he have the core set wall or not? That's what I'll be interested to see. Is it a wall deck or is it just a lame deck? I mean, it's lame either way, but it is a question of whether or not he has the core set wall. Secret Pact, alright. Good thing I run Confiscation. I mean, I wasn't going to attack with this guy anyways, right? Because he could get discarded by Starfall Prince's Pass. And because of that combo, I mean, I'm just not going to declare any challenges yet. This is going to involve sitting around and waiting until I can build up enough stuff to afford to have stuff discarded by Prince's Pass. And I don't think I'm even going to be in a rush to get rid of this Secret Pact. Mostly I just want as much money and draw as I can get to get a really wide board. That's how you win against this. And despite him playing a lame deck, I'm honestly just happy it's not Targaryen. I'm not even that upset to be going up against this. I guess technically I could have attacked and sacked my Longclaw to put Seized by the Guard on Starfall or something, but whatever. We can always do that at a later point. We don't have to do it yet. Okay, trade routes maybe? I don't know if I want to do trade routes yet. I may want to save trade routes for after I see his Dohaeris. It's guaranteed he at least has Dohaeris, and I won't be surprised if he also has Morghulis. So we may just want to chill and wait. But one idea of this deck is you also draw a bunch of cards, so you can afford to overcommit. Let's just see what happens. Whisper Campaign, what the hell? That's just strange. It doesn't bother me too much. I mean, it kneels my Seasoned Woodsman, but I think I can live with that. Get this guy. Get this thing. And now we have 6 for Woodsmen and Cravens. I guess I should hold the other Woodsman in my hand to avoid overcommitting. We're going to do this. Craven is like useless against his board. Like, he is probably never going to care about anything on his side getting hit with Craven. Sworn to the Watch. Does that do anything? Not at the moment. But we can do this with it. I guess it's slightly more relevant than the Craven. That's very handy. Blocks Valar Morghulis. So now he's going to do Dohaeris like 10,000%. Do I want to marshal the other Woodsman and Craven to keep drawing? No, I'll save it for after the Dohaeris. Now my game plan is I'm going to attack, and if he lets me win, I can put Seized by the Guard onto something. Probably... Man, I really want to put it onto all of these. I don't know which one is more correct. But look how lame this is. He's just marshalling 0 characters and marshalling locations and attachments. Man, this is lame. Look at this crap. Really hope I get Spare Boot to start punishing these. Look at that! Oh my goodness. How lame can you get? I guess we have to put Seized on the Prince's Pass, right? So we can actually declare challenges without getting discarded. Oh no, because it's a reaction to losing. So that doesn't even work. Shoot. Alright. Let's just do this. If he wants to discard this character, that's fine. Because He's going to play a reset anyways, so I don't care that much if he gets discarded by the Prince's Pass. This way I can take my Craven and put a 3 gold bestowed seized by the guard onto Starfall will probably be the target, assuming he uses the pass. Yeah, he's not going to use it because he wants to discard Maester Aemon, but little does he know that we have the Qohor agenda. Now we get to discard one off him and draw one for us off of Bowen Marsh's Insight. It's very handy. Vengeance for Elia. Oh, well, that's obnoxious. Is there anything useful to do with Qohor? Longclaw. Sworn to the Watch can't actually get anything. If I stack Longclaw, what am I getting? I guess we should at least do it for a miner's pick, right? I don't think he's going to do Morghulis, so I don't need a bodyguard. Let's just get a miner's pick. Get some draw. Hell yeah. I guess it has to be confiscation. Sure. Extremely surprising plot from the opponent. I would have never expected that. Let's get rid of the Secret Pact. Probably the most annoying attachment that he has. Let's keep this guy. He's duped. Keep these two. The dupe keeps us safe from Valar Morghulis, and allowing Maester Aemon to go back in the deck means our Here to Serve will now actually do something and not be dead. Not be a dead plot, rather. So now we've seen his Dohaeris. We're going to marshal the dupe, Jon Snow. And he probably won't be very happy to see that. No Morghulis for you, buddy. Do I marshal the other one? I mean, I guess. Played 2 resets now, so I can be much more liberal with my marshalling choices. Do I marshal that? Why not? Lots of draw in this deck. Definitely one of the things I enjoy about it. It's difficult for the opponent to win on card attrition alone. Targaryen will beat you on board attrition because they can literally kill everything, but Martell does not really have that ability. They have to count on resets to control your board and hope that you don't have enough draw to keep playing stuff, but against this deck there's so much draw that that's just not very likely. And at some point we're going to draw Spare Boot and start punishing him for playing these like Attainted and Condemned and whatever. I wonder if he's even going to marshal any characters. It doesn't seem like it at this rate. 3rd turn, 0 characters ever marshaled by the opponent. Very fun. Oh, more attachment that removes icons. Okay. Well, he can get 2 icons off Jon Snow. Let's see if there's any way for him to get the 3rd. Doesn't look like it. But he could have a Dornish Spy. 7 gold sitting up there in his bank. Let's think about how we're going to use our agenda. Probably just miners picks. I'm not sure what else there is to do with it. Yep. Come on, dude. Don't drag this out too much. Okay. Well, let's do intrigue. Get double insight. Unless he has, I don't know, Aereo Hota or something. But that's still not enough to actually defend the challenge. See if he has Vengeance again. Oh, Burning on the Sand. Okay. Better than Vengeance. I guess we'll spread the miner's pick out a bit. Three cards, okay. How did I... Oh, yeah, because he drew one. That's funny. I do actually want this Seasoned Woodsman to leave play somehow if I can, so I can put the Sworn to the Watch on Jon Snow. Not super important in this matchup, though. I mean, you don't really need Intimidate when the opponent appears to be playing a deck with 0 characters in it. Darn, he got one of my power icons. So I should have one more miner's pick in the deck, right? Where's my other one? There's only one discarded. One in play here. That's weird. Well, let's do this. Where's Craven? One miner's pick. One miner's pick. How do I not have a third one? That doesn't make sense. I have 3 in the deck, right? Yeah, I have 3. That's strange. It doesn't have to be a different one, does it? Oh, it is different. Okay. So you cannot sack miner's pick to put miner's pick into play. That's why. I actually was not quite aware of that. I think I'm just going to do here to serve. I guess he's going to do Morgulus. Yeah. Even though it's not very effective, it's just like, why not at this point? Let's see. I think I do want Aemon to come into play and save this Steward so that the Attainted does not go back to his hand and cannot be put on Jon Snow. Let's just make him first. I don't really care. He can do whatever he wants. He's Martel, and he has Dornish fiefdom. You can be first. He's making Here to Serve go first, which is fine because I was probably going to do that anyways. Oh, he canceled Maester Aemon. Okay, so it just didn't matter then. I guess I should have remembered that card exists, but whatever. We're still going to be very safe from March to the Wall. It's not a big deal at the end of the day. It is frustrating that I can't draw a spare boot. Half the deck drawn, he hadn't shown up. That guy would be kind of the silver bullet in this situation. But we have so much draw that we're guaranteed to draw him sooner or later. Maybe he's like the last card in the deck. That would be pretty shitty. I feel like this guy is literally playing a 0-character deck. I mean, he's drawn 19 cards, and we've seen 0 characters. That's not a character. Like, neither is that. Okay. Where's Sworn to the Watch? Do I play the Miner's Pick? Guess there's not much reason not to. And we will sack the Miner's Pick and, like, I don't know, we'll find something to sack at some point to get bodyguards onto both of these guys. Protect them from our Valar Morghulis. Because it looks like the game is going to drag on long enough for the plot decks to reset. At the rate this is going. The Lord Commander is important because it helps us with power gain so we can actually win the game. See, my next plot will probably be Counting Coppers, maybe? This is interesting. I guess he's going to allow Jon Snow to have an icon because his reasoning is if I declare a challenge with Jon Snow, he can use Gaston Grey on him, which kind of sucks. So it is a core set wall deck, and he chose to discard it instead of play it. That's interesting. Well, I think it's literally still worth it to do a power challenge with Jon Snow and get hit with Gaston Grey. If he has his Viper Eyes, I'm going to be very sad. But it's only one card. What are the odds of that? Let's just go ahead and get this over with. Now let's think if we want to sack the Seized by the Guard. Probably not. Yeah, definitely not. Not yet, at least. Probably discard, I guess we can discard a Recruiter for reserve. The Sworn to the Watch is still a little bit relevant because it makes Jon Snow a steward to use with Satin. Definitely don't need 3 recruiters. So we'll play this just because it's our highest gold plot. And we'll probably win initiative to make him first again. That means he cannot marshal any of his icon removal attachments onto Jon Snow unless he gets discarded by Hits on Spikes. Oh, okay. Catapult, that's obviously fine. Actually, probably the best card in my hand that he could have gotten with that. Pretty useless card in this matchup. Isle of Ravens would also be quite nice, but as usual, neither Isle of Ravens nor Spare Boot is in the top half of my deck. Probably in the bottom 5 cards, both of them. Another Gaston Grey, seriously? Well, okay then. And I'm not drawing chomps, which is really unfortunate. I really would like to have more small characters. I guess these Jade Siege Romans could get rid of my Isle of Ravens anyways. Well, let's do this whole song and dance again. I guess I put the Lord Commander on Bowen Marsh now. Yeah, I think I put Miner's Pick. How am I going to do this? Alright, let's do this. And do this. And we should be able to sack the Milk of the Poppy before it would ever matter. We also got rid of the Beguiled, that's nice, by letting him be bounced. So my guess he's going to target Satin with Starfall again. And this is out of gold now, right? This seized by the guard, so we can sacrifice it. Yep. I just want to get my 2 bodyguards into play to prepare for my Valar Morghulis. Also got an Attainted out of him, that's pretty handy. The Dornishman's wife, okay. Lose another recruiter for reserve, because it turns out it's a pretty damn inefficient character if the opponent just doesn't play characters. Which I think is pretty obvious at this point that he's attempted to make a 0 character deck. I think I should even play my Valar now. Although I am a little scared he's going to play March to the Wall, which would be bad. So we're not going to do it quite yet. See what we can do with counting coppers. Yep. Dodged a bullet there. Wait. I forgot to trigger my Lord Commander. Oops. Do I marshal Jon Snow or Old Bear? Jon Snow costs me 3. Then I have enough for Spare Boot and Raven. I don't really want to marshal Spare Boot because he's going to die if I marshal him now. I want to save him for after my Valar is pinned. Let's marshal Old Bear to be safe. Yeah, let's do that. And maybe we can bait him into using the Prince's Pass on Old Bear. Then it's either... I guess it's just going to be this, right? And put the Miner's Pick on Bowen Marsh here. Because he has the bodyguard, so... Is there any reason to marshal this? I don't think so. Nope. So if something happens and, like, I'm not able to trigger the agenda, the Miner's Pick will stay in play for my Valar Morghulis next turn. Give me +1 gold. Shadow card. I legitimately have no idea what that could be. Maybe a mission in Essos? That would be my guess. That would actually kind of make sense in his deck. Another Gaston Grey, okay. Actually fine if he wants to use that this turn. So if he sends the character back to my hand or discards it, I'm fine with either one of those outcomes because I'm just going to play Valar Morghulis anyways. And if he doesn't and he allows it to stay in play, I can sack my Miner's Pick to put a bodyguard on him. Surely he's going to discard or bounce him though. Okay then. Oh, I guess I get the first reaction, so now he has his reaction window. And he is going to discard him, okay. Totally acceptable. I guess his last plot could be a second copy of March to the Wall. That would be pretty terrible if it was. And I don't think I really need the draw. So we're just going to play around that and leave the Raven in play. But that doesn't even play around it. So yeah, let's just do that. Because if it's March to the Wall, he can just trigger Valar first and it still kills my guy. Oh, it's that. That makes sense. That's fine. I mean, it's not fine, but he got me. Now what do I do? I guess Messenger Raven. We don't exactly need draw and Recruiter. So now I'm Valaring an empty board, so that's why I'm like, okay, it's not the end of the world. Don't get, well, it doesn't really matter at this point. Sworn to the Watch, obviously that's fine. Probably the worst card for him to get there was, Spare Boot. So now his plot deck has reset. He gets back First Snow, Dohaeris, and Morghulis. So we have to keep all of those in mind and try to play around them. We want to commit the most icons for the least amount of gold. So how are we going to be able to do that? Three Finger Hob cannot have a Tainted attached to him, so we're going to start with him. I don't know if I want to use the Great Halls, though. Let's think for a minute. if we want Jon Snow or not. So we can marshal Jon Snow. He costs 3. Then we have 5. That lets us do Bodyguard, Three Finger Hob, and Spare Boot. Think I'm okay with that. And if he tries to do Morghulis next turn, we can use Here to Serve to save Spare Boot, and the Bodyguard to save Jon Snow. As long as Spare Boot is not killed, I mean, it's going to be annoying when he plays first Snow and bounces Spare Boot, but he'll be able to come back next turn. As long as he's not killed, he's sort of a problem for the opponent's game plan. How long is this taking? I'm down to 18 cards in my deck. Already at 40 minutes. This is insane. Why would you play this? This is so flippin' boring, man. Like, look how miserable this is. This is insane. Imagine if I had political disaster, how bad he would feel about his life. I guess he's going to Starfall my Three Finger Hob. That's actually pretty annoying. So I actually don't want him to use the Gaston Grey this turn. Craven, okay. Wow. Bridge of Skulls. Oh, Lord. Alright. Let's get the Craven because it's terminal. Start with that. Obviously, we have to pass our challenges now. Spare Boot is unfortunately once per phase. I will not be surprised if he does Valor Morghulis only to try and kill Spare Boot. So, I am going to do Here to Serve. Plus, I have a ton of money from my locations. Lord Commander, that's unfortunate. Now that we've gotten past Valoring ourselves, we should be able to flood out more stuff than he can control and win the game. That also makes sense. Now wait a minute. How did he get discarded? I hate this game. Well, no Here to Serve. Oh, that's right, he died. I didn't even remember that. Oh well. He didn't do Morghulis, so it's not a big deal. Let's marshal all of our characters that will not get sent back to our hand for first Snow. Since we don't have Aemon, we actually have to marshal Bodyguard here. Instead of Donal Noy. Unfortunate. one more gold, and we could have marshaled Donal Noy, which would have been pretty good. Now, if he's smart, he could marshal Hardhome out of his discard pile, and that would be super annoying. Let's see if he does it. The Prince's Pass. Okay, I mean, I guess that's also pretty bad. Surely he's going to take the power icon off of Olbear Mormont. I don't think there's any attachments we can actually get by sacrificing our Miner's Pick that matter at this point. Nope. So we're just going to do like Intrigue, Military, and Old Bear will probably get targeted with either Gaston Grey or Prince's Pass, but whatever. Gaston Grey doesn't matter because we have trade routes available. And Prince's Pass is like, okay, I mean, if he wants to do that, sure, I guess. I'm not going to complain too much about it. Gaston Grey, sure. Got the Condemned, that's pretty good. And if he uses Prince's Pass, I'm not even going to save him with the Bodyguard. Oh, I guess I do have to save him, because then he could do March. So I do have to save him. And then maybe he'll do either Morghulis or Dohaeris, but whatever. This also protects me from Bridge of Skulls. How did he have a Gaston Grey in his hand again? I don't know. Whatever. Oh, I'm just trying to get this over with. This is certainly one of the less fun games that I've played. Still more enjoyable than playing against Targaryen. Oh, I have Confiscation again. I guess that'll be my next plot if I don't win this turn. Another Confiscation. Hell yeah, Isle of Ravens. But I have no bodyguard targets left. He friggin' discarded it, my old bear. That sucks. Let's still do it. Probably shuffle back Seized by the Guard. I don't want to overcommit because his next plot is guaranteed to be Valar Morghulis. So I'm probably not going to marshal Spare Boot. I'll just marshal like everything else. This guy actually does something when he dies. Three Finger Hob doesn't take attachments. Donalnoy doesn't take attachments. We'll give him 1 gold to ambush a miner's pick, which does literally nothing, but whatever. This should be enough, right? I guess you can take my power icon with Starfall. Fine, I'll play friggin' Spare Boot. Why not? Now, what do we shuffle back in? It has to be Seized by the Guard, right? Then we can ambush and sacrifice the miner's pick to put a Seized by the Guard into play. We just need enough icons to declare challenges and we win. Okay. Well, I guess Confiscation is going to target Secret Pact next turn. This Craven will be put onto Spare Boot. Why are people... What is going on over here? People texting me. There's the hard home. So I have to leave Chomp standing. So I won't have to sacrifice Jon Snow. See what his Starfall does. Probably takes the power icon off Spare Boot. That'd be my guess. Yep. Alright, we still get to do 2 challenges. I guess Spare Boot's going to be left standing. If he wants to make me sack that with Hard Home, that's actually fine, because then he'll dodge Valar Morghulis. And if I'm lucky and he forgets to use Jade Sea Dromund on Isle of Ravens, I can shuffle him back in. Anyways, since he doesn't have any icons, that's the only purpose he serves in life. So we're going to do that. Oh, goodness. Where do we want our Seized by the Guard to go? Well, let's just go ahead and get ready to use it. Why can't he take... Oh, it has to be like a steward or whatever. Sure, let's put it here. See if he uses the Prince's Pass. I would assume that he would. Doesn't use it. Sure. Where does this go? Starfall, maybe? Let's put on Starfall. I think Starfall is the correct choice. Then I'll do a military, and if he wants to bounce Donal Noy back with Gaston Gray, I'm like 10,000% okay with that. "14 power, baby. Don't forget to use your locations." There's the Boneway. Oh, we forgot to use the JC Drummond. Misplay. Misplay. Obviously confiscation. This has to be Valar Morghulis on his side. Yep. These guys are not actually dead, so I'm in pretty damn good shape now. Sad to see Spare Boot go, but he did what he could. Damn, no stewards. They've like all been drawn at this point. And that's why we put the Craven onto Spare Boot and not the Secret Pact, because the Craven's terminal. The Secret Pact is not. So this way we get the Secret Pact with confiscation. Pretty obvious, but I'm just looking for anything to talk about to fill the silence at this point. It's going to be an hour long. I can't believe I'm really going to put this video up. I mean, I guess I am, right? I am going to end up winning it at the end of the day. Probably the most miserable win I've taken in Game of Thrones anytime that I can remember recently. What will I use my Isle of Ravens on? Longclaw? That's in here, right? Probably should have used it on Longclaw before drawing cards, but who cares? I guess I don't need power gain. I just have to win like one challenge. So I'll probably use it on bodyguards. Another friggin' icon removal. That's insane. Oh my goodness. What? Oh Lord. Oh, what do I do? Oh, surely I can win this turn. He doesn't have any more freaking icon removal. Just have to win a power challenge. He can't take all my power icons. Yep, it is game. Dorne wasn't going to save you, boy. I don't know, maybe it would have. What would Dorne have done for him? I mean, he drew over half his deck anyways. I don't know. We frickin' got him. We did it, Reddit. Stuck it out. What is there to even say about that? I guess I got to show off the Qohor deck. Show how you play it and stuff. Not really my favorite type of game to show, but I damn sure don't feel like trying to play another one after that mess, so...